There's a profound gap between fitting responses and frantic self-protection. Once you grasp that there's no isolated you needing safeguarding, you turn fluid, much like water. Water doesn't clash with the boulders blocking its way. It doesn't erect barriers against the breeze. Instead, it glides around, above and beneath any obstacle it meets. Through this effortless movement, it gradually molds everything in its reach. Reflect on that rhythm. Each time you shield yourself, you're essentially affirming there's something worth shielding. You're solidifying the myth of division, the notion that you're a delicate sense of self vulnerable to remarks, judgments, or the ideas swirling in others' minds. Imagine if you just sidestepped the provocation. Picture responding to criticism with real interest rather than knee-jerk resistance. What if their comments landed not as assaults on your core being, but as insights, as useful input, as mere ripples surfacing in the boundless sea of awareness? I recall a woman who devoted her whole existence to justifying herself to everyone around. She felt compelled to rationalize every choice, every option, every inclination to that phantom panel of critics she harbored within. She wore herself out, attempting to demonstrate she was sufficient, kind enough, clever enough, deserving enough. Then, abruptly, a change occurred. She saw she had been judging herself for offenses conjured solely from her own fears. Notice how drained she felt after battling charges that no one else had even voiced. The instant she ceased the justifications, a remarkable shift unfolded. Folks quit coming at her, not due to any alteration in them, but because the target had vanished. She had transformed into the sky itself, expansive and receptive, undisturbed by the passing clouds drifting across it. Understand this. Much of what we label as aggression is simply others voicing their inner turmoil, their anxieties, their frantic urge to assert correctness in a chaotic existence. When somebody faults you, they're often revealing far more about their struggles than yours. The guy who brands you idle might be quaking at his own potential for quiet. The lady who deems you self-centered is typically wrestling with remorse over her desires. The individual who challenges your decisions is usually doubting theirs. Yet, by internalizing these reflections as personal barbs and mounting a counter, you weave yourself into their mess, joining a tango of shared misperception where everyone loses sight of the theatrical roles in life's grand play. Envision extracting yourself from that routine. Suppose you declined to join the cycle of clash and counter. This isn't about turning numb or distant. It's about acknowledging that real power arises not from fortifying barriers, but from needing none at all. Genuine safety stems not from guarding a stance, but from holding no rigid one to guard. Ponder the irony. The fiercer your efforts to shield your persona, your standing, your identity, the more breakable and exposed you grow. It's akin to attempting to scoop water in a sieve. The tighter your grip, the quicker it drains away. But release that clutch, abandon the quest to dictate others' views of you, and you'll uncover a wonder. You're whole as you stand. You've always been whole. The acceptance you're pursuing, the affirmation you're hunting, the esteem you're insisting on, none can enhance your inherent essence. An ancient tale tells of a sage wrongly blamed for siring a village child. The locals confronted him with fury, scorn, and pleas for answers. He merely replied, quote, "one," and accepted the infant to nurture. Long after the actual parent surfaced, those same villagers returned bearing regrets, commendations for his forbearance, awe at his integrity. Once more he uttered, quote, "two," and handed the child back to its rightful family. Observe his approach. He neither resisted the blame nor swelled with the accolades. Not from apathy, but from knowing his true nature remains untouched by utterances, by views, by the fleeting gales sweeping through the human psyche. Yet here's the captivating twist. By halting your self-defense, you likewise cease targeting others, recognizing no true other exists to target. The one who irks you, tests you, appears to resist you. They're just another swell in the shared waters, another facet of the singular foundation. Sages through the ages have grasped this truth. They describe the essential oneness beneath every seeming variety. They penetrate the pretense of isolation, the deception of lone egos vying for dominance. When you truly see, once you truly internalize this idea deep within, a remarkable shift occurs. You start immersing yourself in existence without clashing against it. You participate in the grand human story without getting so wrapped up that you forget to laugh at the absurdity of it all. It's like being an actor aware of the spotlight. He throws himself into portraying the protagonist or antagonist with total dedication, yet when the curtain falls, he doesn't carry that identity home. It's all just a show, a rhythmic movement, a playful exploration of awareness manifesting in endless shapes. With that in mind, let's dive in. You're left wondering, but what about fairness? What about fighting for justice? If I never stand up for myself, won't others trample me? Won't wrongdoing prevail? These are valid concerns, and they highlight a key separation. Personal protection isn't the same as a fitting reaction. Safeguarding your ego differs from shielding what truly requires safeguarding. Ceasing self-defense doesn't turn you inert. It makes you attuned. You address circumstances with clear insight instead of knee-jerk reactions, guided by understanding rather than bruised ego. If lies are circulating about you, you could opt to set the facts straight, not out of fear for your fragile image, but because accuracy benefits everyone more than deception. If actions are hurting people around you, you might step in, not driven by your own moral outrage, but because the group's well-being demands it. You handle these moments without the heat of self-justification, operating from an awareness of what the context truly requires over what your sense of self insists on. That's the gap between a true fighter and a mere responder. The fighter moves from a grounded core, from insight, from unity with everything. The responder operates from anxiety, from isolation, from a frantic urge to guard an identity that was never truly endangered. Allow me to offer a bold observation. Many of the threats you feel compelled to shield against aren't real at all. They unfold in your mind, in the narratives you weave about others' opinions, the implications of their words, the judgments implied by their behavior. You spin a full-blown scenario where you're the wronged party and they're the aggressor, then wear yourself out fending off this phantom assault. In reality, the other individual may not even be focused on you. They could be grappling with their own rough patch, voicing inner turmoil, or just navigating the flawed, chaotic nature of being human. Even if criticism comes your way, even if it's a deliberate attempt to belittle or wound you, your choice not to counter doesn't amplify their strike. It renders it ineffective. Consider this. Hurl a ball at a solid barrier, and it rebounds with matching intensity. But launch it into the void, and it drifts onward until its momentum fades away. By declining to form that barrier, by embodying the vastness instead, the assault finds no purchase. Far from fragility, this embodies supreme power. It's the resilience of the heavens, untouched by the tempests sweeping across them. It's the vastness of the sea, unaltered by the swells that crest and recede upon it. And the truly inspiring part? When you halt your defenses, you invite others to drop theirs too. By opting out of the battle ritual, you open room for authentic exchange. for true comprehension, for bonds that can't form amid the scramble to fortify stances. I recall witnessing a heated debate between two acquaintances. One was fiercely upholding his political stance, the other relentlessly challenging it. They volleyed back and forth, erecting taller barriers with each exchange, each more certain of their moral superiority. No one was truly hearing the other. They were merely biding time to fire the next salvo. Imagine if one had paused and said, quote, "For what if, rather than fortifying their own ground, they'd grown intrigued by the opposing viewpoint? The whole interaction would transform. From adversaries, they'd evolve into companions sharing insights on life's terrain. That's the shift when you cease self-protection. You keep pointing toward openness. You foster opportunities for honest conversation, for meaningful encounters, for interactions that truly evolve perspectives instead of solidifying old ones. Yet the profoundest motivation for avoiding defense transcends techniques, maneuvers, or improved interactions. At its core, it's rooted in a basic misconception about your essence. You aren't an entity that what could possibly endanger you. You're not some item that might get broken. You're the pure awareness where every experience emerges and fades. You're the consciousness that watches thoughts, emotions, and sensations flow by without ever getting caught up in them. If somebody lashes out at you, challenging your personality or doubting your intentions, they're really just clashing with their own picture of you, the mental snapshot they've built of what they imagine you to be. But that snapshot isn't the real you. It's merely an idea floating in their head, no more solid or dangerous than a fleeting shadow on the wall. The true you, the awareness absorbing these very words at this moment, the steady consciousness that's endured every twist and turn in your life, can't be shielded because it simply can't be harmed. It's akin to space itself, expansive, welcoming, and beyond reach. This is the essence the wise ones refer to when they discuss the self with a capital S, not the limited ego tied to your past and personal tastes, but the boundless presence that's one with the origin of everything. Once you grasp that this is your authentic essence, the impulse to protect yourself just dissolves. Understand, we build defenses out of the fear that we're lone individuals, cut off and vulnerable in a harsh reality. Yet that sense of division is a mirage, a clever ploy by awareness to let the cosmos engage in a game of hide-and-seek with its own forms. In truth, there's just a single self manifesting in countless guises. There's only one awareness shining through every seemingly distinct life. Striking at someone else is like striking at your own core. When they strike at you, they're the ones wounding themselves. That's why guarding against harm is pointless in the end. It's as absurd as the right fist shielding itself from the left, or one swell battling another on the sea, oblivious that both spring from the identical depths. When this insight breaks through, when you truly perceive there's no other out there, that all things and people are merely veils over the singular self, then the very notion of defense turns not just redundant, but inconceivable. How do you guard against your own being? How does the sea shield itself from its waves? Thus, we arrive at the core riddle of profound teachings. True invincibility comes from having nothing left to guard. Genuine strength emerges from yielding rather than pushing back. Real liberation flows from refusing to fortify anything. And rest assured, this approach doesn't turn you into a doormat. It transforms you into water, the gentlest force on earth, yet capable of eroding the toughest rock over time. It renders you like open sky, yielding to every gust without ever sustaining a mark. Embracing this mode of existence, navigating life free from the endless drive to shield, rationalize, or account for your every move, others sense a shift in your presence. You exude a serene confidence, a liberated calm, an unyielding tranquility that pulls them in, much like blooms tilting toward light. You turn into a haven for those around you, a space where they can drop their guards, their barriers, their draining quests for validation. This is the offering you bring to the world by ceasing your self-protection. You reveal that it's feasible to exist unarmored, to traverse existence with a vulnerable spirit, to embody full humanity without perpetual conflict against fellow humans. Deep down, isn't this the universal ache? To be embraced, truly witnessed, cherished not for accomplishments or debates, but for the essence hidden under all the personas, facades, and safeguards? By halting your defenses, you bestow this very grace upon yourself. You release the demand for external affirmation. Peace with your inner world arrives when you cease tying your joy to triumphs in disputes, shifts in perspectives, or nods of consent. You uncover that you've always embodied what your soul pursued. You're inherently valid, inherently valuable, inherently whole, not due to deeds or successes, but because of your profound, intrinsic nature. From this foundation of wholeness, from acknowledging your core reality, you can dive into life with total openness and authenticity. You can voice your convictions without craving agreement. You can align your actions with your principles without seeking endorsement. You can simply exist as you are, without insisting on comprehension from anyone. This marks the pinnacle of liberty, not the license to act unbound, but the liberty to reveal your true form unapologetically, undefended, free from the nagging doubt of falling short of some elusive ideal. So the next time criticism stings, the next time that old reflex to argue, clarify, or vindicate surges up, pause and recall this truth. You're not defined by their view of you. You're not even bound by your own self-perception. You're the infinite awareness where all these judgments and views drift in and out like transient clouds across a boundless expanse. Settle into that awareness, embody that vastness. Allow the storms of interpersonal turmoil to sweep past without ruffling your depths.